Hey there friends, Golf Coach Dan back again today. Today we're going to go with a pretty simple tip that I think is going to help a lot of players. Certainly if you're just getting started in this game as a beginner, it's going to be key for you. But even if you've been playing for a while and just feeling like things are a little off track, you're searching for consistency or just higher quality shots on average, it might not be a bad idea to revisit what we're talking about right now, the basics of the backswing. So with that in mind, we're talking about two simple thoughts or tips on how we can keep our club more on plane in the backswing, because as we're going to discuss, the more you can stay on plane or close to on plane, the easier your life will be as a golfer. So all you need for this to work on it is an extra club. I'm going to take this extra club and I'm going to place it about a foot behind my ball and along my target line. So it's sort of an extension of my target line behind the ball, okay? And we're going to work on two simple things using this extra club. If you can see it, let me just move my ball up here a little bit. I'm a little bit tight with the camera today, so let me go ahead and make sure that we can see everything. I think you can see that. Excellent. Now, two simple steps on how we're going to keep our backswing more on plane and thus giving ourselves an easier time just to repeat and react in the downswing. So step one is going to be in the takeaway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up and then just trying to use mostly my core here to rotate. We're going to make a turn, and my goal is to keep my club parallel to the club on the ground at the end of the takeaway, which is when the shaft is parallel to the ground. So when we hit that position, I want my shaft parallel to the shaft on the ground. This is an on-plane takeaway. We don't want that club head rolled to the inside. We see a lot of that. Now my club's pointing out to right field. And although you could probably get away with it a little bit more than the other, we still don't want to see the club head excessively outside the hands either, because when you're more inside or outside, you're going to want to loop or move that club back to a more on-plane position as you transition and change direction to the downswing. So step one, we're just going to use our core to rotate, get that shaft parallel with the club on the ground, and then bang. From there, we're going to hinge our wrist, create a little bit of our arm structure. And what I want to imagine is if I had like a laser pointer sticking out of my club, I'd want it to point down at the club on the ground. That's considered on plane in the backswing. You could get away with it a little bit more upright, I think. I think that's probably a better way to miss, is a little bit more upright, versus some people get a little bit flat where it's pointing outside the ball or in the target line. Upright would point more towards your feet. Now, why would we say that outside the hands and upright, which would look more like this? Why is that better than inside and flat? Well, we know the club, if it's off plane in the backswing, it typically likes to try and replane itself, regardless of what you're trying to do. The club knows what it's supposed to do, right? So it's going to replane itself. So when I get inside and flat, then replaning it is going to involve a steepening of the shaft, or it's going to stand up to get back pointed to the ball line and transition. Versus if you err on the side of keeping a little bit more outside the hands and then upright, typically that club wants to shallow or fall back onto your plane line. Okay, so simple terms, we're looking just to basically get the shaft parallel and then point the butt of the club at your target line or ball line, whatever you'd call that, right? The closer you are on plane in the backswing, the less movement is needed to get right back onto that plane in the downswing. But respect the fact that the club likes to loop. So if it goes super flat, it's going to want to stand up. And if you prefer to keep it stood up, there's a chance it's going to want to shallow for you, which, again, proceed with caution on whatever you think is best for you in your game. But simple terms or simple strategy here. If you want to work on a more on-plane backswing, drop the club down on the ground, about a foot behind your ball. We're going to look to be parallel with that club in the takeaway and then angle our shaft at that through the rest of the backswing. Give it a try. I hope this brings you more consistent golf. If you like this concept, do me a favor and thumbs up the video. And please check out the other videos. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying what you see. I'll see you next time.